name's Peter. This is Frimley Photography. I set the website up back in 2020 during COVID. Prior to that, I've been using a local gym and cycling in around Frimley where I live. With the gym closing and still wanting to get some exercise, I decided to stick the bike on the back of the car and travel further into Hampshire. Sitting on the Surrey-Hampshire border, that wasn't particularly difficult, and I've been doing much the same ever since. So I set the website up to try and capture some of the rides that I do, record details of routes and the places I cycle. I thought they might be useful to others who want to do something similar. So today I'm going to try and record what I call my signature ride, starting at West Meon, then travelling up Old Winchester Hill towards Butser Hill, but not actually going to Butser. We're going to go to Clanfield, and then through to Chorlton, and then up through Queen Elizabeth Country Park to Berriton, and then back to East Meon, and then back here to West Meon. About 23 miles, reasonably challenging. There's some steep hills there, but I guess that improves the exercise value of the ride. So today I'm going to try and include a bit more detail in the video about the places I go through. I don't know if you'll find that useful, but if you do, you could drop a note in the comment on YouTube. That would be really good. So I say I'm going to be using video from several rides, so if you see changes in the weather in the video, that's why. So hopefully you'll get to see some of the area in the sunshine, not this grey, drizzly, horrible weather we got today. We'll press on now. First stop will be the village centre in West Meon, and I'll give you a bit more detail about the village and the local area. So here we are in the village of West Meon. This is more or less the centre of the village with the cross here. The village sits more or less midway on the A32 between Alton and Fareham. The headwaters of the River Meon are not far from here. In fact, we'll have a look at the spring on the way back on the journey where the River Meon rises. You can't see very much there because it's in a private garden, but we'll have a look and I'll point it out. The village has got quite a long history. It was settled originally in the 6th century by the Jutes who arrived from Denmark. At the time of the Domesday Book, the population here was about 200. At the last census there were about 750 people living here. Interesting, this cross here, I assumed after passing it on several occasions that it was the usual war memorial type cross. If you have a look here, you can see it isn't. It's actually commemoration of somebody called George Verning Rogers, who was the medical practitioner here in the village from the 1800s for about 40 years. He lived here with his wife Mary Ann Rogers, and they had 20 children between them. How on earth he managed to find time to raise 20 children and look after the village, I've no idea. Although I guess back in those days only those that could afford medical care got it, so probably there's only 200 people in the village. It doesn't sound too onerous. I don't know if he covered out any other areas. Another point of note, you can't, oh, you might be able to see it if I turn around here. Yeah, you can just about see the tower of the church there behind me. So that's St John the Evangelist. I've not actually looked at the church in any detail, but it's slightly interesting to note that Guy Burgess, the Cold War spy, he had his ashes sprinkled in the churchyard. Might go and investigate that. further in due course. So the other thing that West Meon was notable for was the railway. The West Meon Railway stopped here, and the line was eventually disbanded and dug up. We've now got the Meon Valley Trail cycle and footpath that runs from here down to Wickham, about 11 miles. But I'll give you a bit more detail on the railway. We'll head over to the station now, and I'll fill you in a bit more there. So see you shortly. Hi, so here we are standing at the remains of the West Meon station. The line originally opened in 1903. It was designed to connect Alton to Fareham. It was anticipated there'd be a lot of traffic, people either heading down to the coast or coming down to the South Downs in the West Meon area. So they anticipated this was going to be quite a busy line. In fact, they put in a platform. You can see the remains of it here. It's a bit overgrown, but it is still here. It was 600 feet long, which meant it could accommodate a 10-coach train. I don't think any 10-coach trains ever arrived here, from what I've read, but certainly the aspiration was this was going to be quite a busy and popular line. So in the event, it was closed to passenger transport in 1955, and then finally closed completely in 1968. A bit further up the line there behind me was a viaduct that went across the Meon Valley, the river, and we'll have a look at that on the way back. That was quite an impressive structure. That was one of the first things to be taken down, because of the huge amount of ironwork that was there, and the scrap value of it was obviously quite significant. So the village, the station would have been perched just above the village, and they say the plan was that locals would be whisked away down to the coast, and you'd have people coming in from further afield to visit the area. But it was a shame that never actually happened. So this is also the now the Meon Valley, start of the Meon Valley Trail, and over there just behind me, if I pan round, is the car park where you can park and then head off down the trail to Wickham. It's a fairly easy ride, gently sloping on the way down and sloping uphill on the way back, obviously. But it's a nice ride, worth it. You can, or on foot, or on horseback, if indeed you have a horse. So, one thing I forgot to mention at the outset was that my other passion, apart from cycling, is photography. So you'll see a lot of photographs on my website, which is at worldwideweb.frimleyphotography.co.uk. So if you get a chance to visit, if you come in from YouTube, that'd be great. I'll see you at the next stop. Here we are, we completed the nearly 2-mile climb up out of West Meon up onto Old Winchester Hill and the South Downs. Just approaching Alan's Coffee now.
2 miles and 52
Andrew,
minutes,
the proprietor of Alan's Coffee, has been...
time 14 minutes 4 seconds, average heart rate 129.
Been serving coffee up here since at least 2020, during the pandemic. Probably before that, that was when I first met him. Here we have one of the hazards at harvest time. Tractors. Combines are the worst. This one just looks like a tractor turn something. He's pulling over for me, jolly decent of him. Thank you. Sun Coffee serves coffee up here on the hill from Thursday through to Monday. Offers a discount to cyclists and walkers who arrive on foot, which is always very pleased to take advantage of. It's Bank Holiday Monday, so I thought it would be quite crowded up here, but it's not too bad today. We're just leaving Alan's Coffee now and then heading up to a viewpoint where we can look across to Old Winchester Hill, and we'll say a bit about the hill.
Lap time 28 minutes 35 seconds, average heart rate 122. Next stop is up on Old Winchester Hill where I am now. So if I just pan around and point you over onto the hill, which is over there, so that's Old Winchester Hill. It's an Iron Age hill fort with Bronze Age burrows which can be found within the hill fort, and they date back to about 3,500 years BC. It's got quite a lot of history in terms of human habitation with the Romans. The area was used during World War II for weapons training, I believe. It's also an area of natural interest as well as archaeological interest now. Chalk downlands with butterflies. But it's a lovely spot. Not really, you're not seeing the best of it today because it's so overcast, but I certainly recommend it as a somewhere to visit. Behind me, I've just come off the road here that runs between Old Winchester, runs between West Meon and Butser Hill, and there's a path runs up the side here that you can probably see. Well, if you follow that round, that goes out onto Old Winchester Hill. The car park is down the bottom there. There's also an access road up
up onto the hill. If you go up to the top of that path and turn right, there's a little lane that comes out on the country road there. That will also get you out to the hill. But anyway, a lovely spot, one of my favourite spots just to stop and look at the view, especially on a good day, unlike today. Right, we'll press on now and catch you at the next stop.
3 miles in 1 hour 8 minutes 25 seconds. Lap time 11 minutes 55 seconds. Average heart rate 125.
Right, I've stopped here. I'm on the road here that runs along the ridge from Old Winchester Hill to Butser Hill, which is further up the road here. I'll stop here for a minute because a couple of bikes and a car is just about to come past. Three bikes, tell a lie. Right, carry on then. So what's up on the hill behind us is of interest. It was the remains of HMS Mercury. It was a Royal Naval Signals establishment, which was originally on Portsmouth Dockyard until it was bombed in 1941 by the Germans, and had to be moved up here in fairly short order. So 1,200 people were relocated to a village that was established up there behind me on the hill. All the masts that remain are a commercial station now, I believe. So yeah, fascinating to think that they could move 1,200 people up here during the war and set up an encampment. The only bit that remains of the original building is in the Sustainability Centre, which we'll stop at briefly just up the road. That's what was originally the medical centre and the senior ratings mess. The HQ was established in Leydean House, which is an old sort of, call it a stately home, which is still there but now part of a more modern development. It's been divided up into flats. Technically you can't go in there because it's private, although I have had a quick look around. So worth just scanning behind me. This is one of my favourite spots because the view is quite superb up here. If you look behind me, you can see out across the cornfield there to the Solent. I mean, it's not a particularly clear day today, but you can see Portsdown Technology Park up on the hill. You usually see the Solent and the Isle of Wight quite clearly from up here, especially on a clear day. And it is a beautiful spot. I spent many a few minutes certainly on bike rides just sitting here watching the clouds scurry across the hill and admiring the view. Okay, well we'll carry on now to the Sustainability Centre, quickly stop there. Then I'm going to head off through Clanfield. The next property stop will be the Butser Ancient Farm and then Chiltern. So here we are at the Sustainability Centre. So this was formed out of what was originally the medical centre and the senior officers' mess for the ratings at HMS Mercury. The entrance is just down here. I won't go in. It's basically a centre for learning. They got a cafe in here, which is actually in the buildings that were originally part of HMS Mercury. They do B&B and camping and sort of learning alternative lifestyles, I guess. I don't know much about what they do inside, but I'm sure if you Google it you can find out. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out as I'm passing. Just thought I'd do a quick stop here. It wasn't planned. Just pointing out the magnificent view across the valley there to East Meon in the distance, and if I pan round slightly you can see Butser Hill up there with the mast on the top. We're not heading up there today, we go around Butser Hill to Queen Elizabeth Country Park. Countryside looks very striking today, particularly with the contrast between the green, because we've had all the rain this year during the summer, and the golden corn. Quite a magnificent view from this particular spot. Alright, we'll carry on now to Clanfield. Track ahead of me takes you up onto Butser Hill. We're going to turn right here and head over towards Clanfield and then on to Chorlton past the Butser Ancient Farm. So an option is to carry on up there to Butser Hill, but you can turn left and double back down to East Meon if you want a shorter ride. It's quite a good track generally in the summer and spring, although it's not been raining too much. Got to pass a section of road now, but you do have to watch out for potholes. I do this every Monday. I know where the potholes are, but if you've not done this before, I would take it steady, because you never know what you're going to come across. Pond here on the right, just past the old post cottage. A lot of the cottages, or what used to be presumably village post offices, have now been closed and turned into residential dwellings. Right. So just crossing the A3 here. Down past Butser Ancient Farm. You see Butser Hill on the left.
better view of the that's the windmill from this angle as well. That road, if you carry on, drops down onto the A3. You're going to turn left here to Bucks Ancient Farm, and you might just catch a glimpse of the windmill there over the top of the hedge. I don't know if you can see that behind me. That windmill's near Clanfield. If you're heading down the A3 towards Portsmouth, it's on your left hand side once you've just got past Butts Hill. Apologies for the racket here because we are right by the side of the A3. Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. You can actually walk up to the windmill, and that's a private residence. There's a lane. If you go down the A3 from here, turn left, there's a little country lane goes around the back of that windmill, and there's a footpath there which will take you up, and you can you obviously, it's some private property, so you can't go inside, but I think you can walk around the perimeter. I've never done it. On my to-do list. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out in case of any interest. So we've got a fast run down here again. If you've not done this before and aren't aware the potholes are, I would be careful, but it's possible to go. We'll do it with extreme caution. We've also got the entrance to Butts Ancient Farm on the right hand side here, so you could have traffic coming in and out. Watch. Butts Ancient Farm entrance on the right there. I've just stopped here briefly. This is the Butts Ancient Farm. I'll read from what it says on their website because I've not actually been in there, so I'll have to visit it sometime, see what is in there. So it says it's an open air experimental archaeology museum, active research centre, learn about the past by recreating it, step back in time and get close up with buildings, technologies and animals from the ancient past. So it all sounds very interesting. I think they do a lot of school type trips and that sort of thing. It's obviously a bank holiday weekend, so it's open today. Oh, the car park looks fairly busy. There's a couple just wandering down here. So anyway, if you're passing, somewhere else you could think about stopping. Might be interesting. Cycle track on the left there, which will take you up into Queen Elizabeth Country Park. Not tried it, but there was potential for the future. I've never managed to get enough speed up down that hill to get up this slope the other side without pedalling quite hard for this last left section. Village of Chawson. Oh. Right, we're now at the halfway point in the ride. St Michael All Angels Church, which is up behind me, dates from the 12th or 13th century. I quite often use this as a
a stop-off point, particularly in the winter, to get a bit of respite and grab a bite of each and just shelter from the elements, particularly if it's raining, windy, cold. So it's quite interesting. Opposite the church, we'll just take you down here. We have the Red Lion pub. According to some literature I've read in the church, the pub was actually built to house the workers who were, when they were building the church. I guess this was a fairly desolate area. So the pub is meant to be one of the oldest in Hampshire. There's one other pub in Winchester, I think, which is vying for oldest. It's believed to date from the 16th century. Clearly it's been added to, and which bits of it, if any, of the original 16th century building, I don't know. But it's certainly a nice pub, and I have used that as a base for the rides. And you can get down to Emsworth on the coast quite easily from here. It's about 10 miles. So this isn't a bad spot to stop and park and then head off down to the coast. So anyway, this is the village of Chawton. So we've got the Red Lion pub there with St Michael and All Angels directly opposite, and this interesting little building here, which was obviously some sort of outhouse. Also got a convenient spot to sit and grab a bite to eat in the sunshine with that bench there. Right, we'll press on now. Next stop will be Berriton, with a short stop at Queen Elizabeth Country Park en route. Slight uphill here towards Queen Elizabeth Country Park. It's only a short stretch, it's not too steep. Too bad down this hill, because we've got to do a sharp left before we get to the bottom.
10 miles in 1 hour 59 minutes 7 seconds. Lap time 14 minutes 55 seconds.
Just coming up on your left now. So this lane takes you up through the periphery of the country park.
slight incline there. So yeah, probably here I'm starting to get a bit out of breath. Never seen any deer here, sort of place you'd imagine you would, but nothing. Hello. Up to the first signs of habitation we've had for a while. This is the outskirts of Berryton, also the back entrance to Queen Elizabeth Country Park. There's a small car park on the left here. I guess it gets quite busy at weekends. It's always pretty quiet in the week. So here we are at the Queen Elizabeth Country Park entrance. I think it's St Tylequill Lane. It's the lane that runs between Berryton and Chawton. Did have a name for the car park down there, but I can't recall what it was now. So, Queen Elizabeth Country Park, gateway to the South Downs. The park spans 2,000 acres, so it's pretty large. It was opened in 1976 by joining Butser Hill to Queen Elizabeth Forest. The park spreads from here all the way down to the A3, and then you go under the A3 and up Butser Hill the other side. I'm not sure if Butser Hill is actually part of Queen Elizabeth Country Park, but certainly you can walk all the way up to the top of Butser. No worries. There's a visitor centre over by the A3. Probably the easiest place to park if you're going to come and visit Queen Elizabeth Country Park. But actually this little car park here is not a bad spot. It's quite secluded. Coming in on a mountain bike, good as anywhere I guess, but there's plenty of parking either by the A3 or in this little car park here. I mean, it's bank holiday Monday today and there's only a few cars in here and plenty of space, so yeah, beautiful scenery though. I do love it. Gorgeous part of the world. Right, leaving the car park now, bringing off down to the village of Berryton. Interesting fact I read recently was that when we first had motor transport, this was one of the main routes out the village of Berryton, and the youngsters used to come to this hill to help old cars when they, I don't know, 1920s, because they used to struggle to get up here. It was pretty steep, particularly in the winter. I assume the enterprising youngsters used to charge the drivers to
help get them up the hill, although quite how they managed to do that, I have no idea. Perhaps they had horses who helped pull them up. Two pubs, the Five Bells, and there was one just behind us. Church there up in Hepworth, and the village pond on the right hand side. So here we are by the village pond, and the church over there, which again dates from about 1150, 1200, so when it was first built. The pond has always been a working pond. There were a lot of chalk pits up in Butser Hill. Originally it was a source of chalk, so when the horses and the carts were brought down from the hill, they were brought into the pond here and washed down before being put away, ready for use the next day. It's always been a working pond for the village, but it certainly is a very tranquil spot. Quite often in good weather I'll stop here and use this as another place to have a bite to eat by the pond before heading back to West Meon. Right, leaving Burton now, heading around the base of Butser Hill back to West Meon. Here and head around Butser Hill past Ramsden to West Meon, and then obviously back to West Meon.
So here we are between Berriton and East Meon. Just thought I'd grab a shot there of Winchester Hill from the far side. Quite often you can see paragliders or people flying model gliders off the hill there. Depends on the prevailing wind direction, I guess, and whether it's a weekend or not, or a bank holiday. Anyway, I just thought worth pointing that out. Quite a good view here. So this is the lane that runs from Berriton through to Frogmore and then on to East Meon. Driver kindly stopped there to let me pass. That's excellent. Hi. Couple there putting me to shame. On the face of it to be quite out with himself. Maybe they're on e-bikes. I'm sure they were. Come down here. This is the garden of a private house, but this is the source of the River Meon. There's a spring, I don't know if you can see it, just over there behind those trees. There's some reeds. I assume that's where the River Meon rises. There's a mill pond just beyond that. I'll show you that in a minute. But it's just off this little lane track that runs down here. So unfortunately you can't actually get to the source because it's on private land, but there it is. 22 miles from here down to Stubbington. You get a slightly better view here. So here's the mill pond. Just panning round there, you can see the garden and the source of the river. The springs up here. Probably not the best time of year to come, being the end of summer, so a lot of it's dried out. But anyway, there you go. Should you ever fancy visiting this area, I want to camp. There is actually a campsite here. This is the first time since I've been cycling past it that I've seen anyone in. I'll just pop in the gate here and pan around. So we have got two families by the looks of it. We've got a tent over there and one over there. So there you go. I mean, it's nicely situated, beautiful scenery, just doesn't get used a lot. I guess there's not a lot of facilities here either. But anyway, there you go, Meon Side campsite, just thought I'd mention it. Right, coming towards the end of the ride now. Here we are in East Meon. I've covered this on a walking tour when I walked up the top of that hill there behind the church. I'm talking about pretty villages. I think East Meon maybe beats Berriton for attractiveness, but hey, who am I to say? Anyway, there's quite a lot about East Meon on the website, so I won't cover any more here. Probably the most interesting fact that sticks out in my mind: during World War II, apparently thousands of pounds worth of bombs were dropped in the parish of East Meon, but the only casualty was a pig. Interesting little factlet.
Anyway, I will press on. I've just stopped here as this is where the viaduct for the Meon Valley Railway used to cross the road. The supports are still there, just down the road on the left and the right. Worth remembering that the viaduct was one of the first things to be taken down. Scrap value of the huge amount of ironwork that was involved in the viaduct meant people were very quick to rip it down. I'll just ride up and you can see the what remains of the supports. So here are the pillars. You can just about up the top of the hill there see where the track would have been on this side, and on this side you can see this support here, and then obviously the line would have come across up within the trees. It would look quite an impressive sight, I'm sure, back in the day. Right, well that just about wraps me up for today. Going to head off back to the car and then back to Frimley. Let me know if you think you prefer this format. Drop a note in the comment if you've got a preference. Great to hear from you. I will see you on the next video.